The National News Desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
Today, to every veteran, we love our veterans. We say the words too often left unsaid. Thank you for your service.
Honoring all who serve inside the president's visit to the National Veterans Day ceremony.
This is the worst possible issue, aviation, that you could play politics with. And I've worked hard not to play politics, to play this very straight.
Airport misery continues when Secretary Duffy believes travel could return to normal if the shutdown finally comes to an end. And the first cold snap of the season, how many are under snow alerts and where records were broken across the United States. Good evening, I'm Taylor Murray. Welcome to the National News Desk, America's News Now. The federal government shutdown is in its 42nd day, but seems to be nearing its end as the Senate finally moved a bill to fund the government agencies after 5 weeks of a stalemate. But the government remains closed and the negative impact at the airport is still being felt. Across the United States today, about 3,000 delays and another 1,200 cancellations. But it was an improvement over yesterday's painful day that saw almost 10,000 delays and 2,500 cancellations. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says that if funding for the air traffic controllers resumes, he expects things to return to normal by the holiday travel rush.
So it depends on, are we going to have air traffic controllers come into work? And if we have the controllers showing up, I think we're going to be back to regular flight schedules.
The secretary says the controllers could be paid back pay of up to 70% of what they missed within 48 hours of the government reopening. And that would alleviate some of the financial strains they've been under over the last 6 weeks. President Donald Trump was joined by Vice President J.D. Vance today, as well as the Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins, as they visited Arlington Cemetery and took part in that wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier commemorating Veterans Day. In his remarks, the president credits them for America's ongoing prosperity.
Generation after generation, America's warriors have left behind the comforts of home and family to face violence, evil, and death, so that our families could know joy, goodness, and peace. We honor them so strongly. Our heroes have lived through unthinkable nightmares so we could live the American dream. And the American dream is coming back again, stronger than ever before.
President Trump also said the U.S. does not take enough credit for winning both world wars, calling today Victory Day. November 11th, 1919 initially commemorated Armistice Day and the veterans who fought in World War I. In 1954, President Eisenhower signed legislation honoring veterans from all wars. Today, the holiday recognizes every veteran in any of the branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. As early as 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, House lawmakers could be voting to reopen the federal government. In order to get the bill to the president's desk, the House will need to pass the Senate version of the amended continuing resolution without any changes. Democrats have been holding out to get a tax credit extension they say would stop Affordable Care Act costs from skyrocketing. House members on both sides say health care needs to be fixed, but they have a different take on how to do that.
House Democrats will strongly oppose any legislation that does not decisively address the Republican health care crisis.
It was not time to have this conversation while the Democrats were holding the American people hostage. Now that that is just about over, we can start having these discussions through regular order, through the appropriate committees.
Now, with the shutdown almost over, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is getting blamed by both the right and the left. On one hand, President Trump quick to blame Schumer for the stalemate to begin with, but now some Democrats are pointing the finger at him, too, for allowing it to end. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins explains.
President Trump continues hammering Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
Blaming the Democratic leader for the shutdown and accusing him of losing control of his party.
You know, he was a pretty talented guy. He's lost his talent.
But the harsher criticism may be coming from Schumer's own side. Former advisor to President Obama, David Axelrod, predicting Schumer's days as leader are numbered.
My guess is that he won't be leader of the party in 2027.
Polling data shows how much Democrats have soured on Schumer. A Pew Research survey conducted in September, so before the shutdown, found Schumer is the least popular Democratic Senate leader on record.
Look at this. He's underwater with Democrats. His own party.
I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over.
With 8 in the Democratic caucus breaking ranks to support a compromise bill to reopen the government, frustration is boiling over among party members who say Schumer failed to unite them behind a clear strategy.
I mean, he's got 8 Democrats going rogue here. He himself voted against them, and that's not leadership.
House Progressive Democrat Ro Khanna writing on X, Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. For now, Schumer is brushing off the criticism, focusing on his opposition to the compromise.
The Republicans have refused to move an inch. So I cannot support the Republican bill.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries continues to support Schumer publicly.
Leader Schumer did not bless this agreement. He voted against it. And of course, Senate Democrats who voted no have made that clear.
And Taylor, Schumer is also at risk of facing a primary challenge when he's up for re-election in 2028, possibly from progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
And Kayla, what does Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's polling numbers, what do they look like right now?
Well, they look pretty good at the moment. Siena polled New York Democrats in April and then again in September, and they found among that group, so that's the group that would be voting in a primary, Ocasio-Cortez was leading Schumer by 30 points. Some analysts even calling AOC the favorite at this point for that 2028 New York Senate seat primary race. Ocasio-Cortez was met with skepticism and even some pushback when she first got to Capitol Hill in 2018. And since then, her popularity and name recognition has steadily increased, with some seeing her brand of politics. She does embrace the Democratic Socialist label as being the future of the Democratic Party. Taylor.
In Washington, D.C., Kayla Gaskins, thank you. Right now, an urgent search is underway for a missing miner in West Virginia. He was last seen on Saturday when his crew ran into a pocket of water in the Rolling Thunder mine in Nicholas County. Rescue crews have been pumping around 6,000 gallons of water per minute out of the mine. Governor Patrick Morrisey said millions of gallons have been removed, allowing for expanded access.
The coal community is a very tight community. It's a brotherhood. You can see that up there as well. There's a lot of efforts going on. And I think the community themselves, most everybody has a brother, an uncle, a sister, an aunt, a mom, somebody that was in the coal industry or worked in the coal mines. And you see everybody pull together and they know, I think they know what that fear feels like is what I would say.
The governor said surface drilling is creating additional access points that may be used for rescue. A Utah judge has rejected a new Republican congressional map, saying it unduly favors Republicans. An alternate map was selected, establishing a Democratic-leaning district. One lawmaker now wants the judge impeached. Republicans have claimed the judge can't enact the map the legislator hasn't approved. In August, the judge declared the current map unlawful because lawmakers reduced the role of an independent voter-approved commission. Well, here's where the redistricting push stands in the rest of the country. Californians voted yes on a proposal to add 4.5 expected Democratic seats. A half seat is effectively a coin flip with a slight advantage. Texas added 4 likely Republican districts. And it's more or less a draw everywhere else. Dave Wasserman of the Cook Political Report says neither party has a clear advantage. Customs and Border Protection Commander Greg Bovino is going to be leaving the Chicago area as early as today. But the Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security, Tricia McLaughlin, says DHS agents will not be leaving the Windy City with him. In a post on X, McLaughlin also gave a crime update for the Chicago area, stating since Midway Blitz began in September, homicides are down 16%, shootings down 35%. Robberies are down 41%, carjackings down 48%, and transit crime came down 20%. The maker of the organic baby formula involved in an expanding botulism outbreak is recalling all of its products sold nationwide. So parents, listen up. By Heart says parents should immediately dispose of any cans or pouches of the formula. At least 15 babies in 12 states have gotten sick, and all were hospitalized after consuming By Heart formula. No deaths have been reported. Botulism is caused by bacteria that produce a toxin in the gut. Well, the Florida Attorney General is taking aim at Microsoft, accusing it of discriminating against certain nonprofits namely certain religious affiliated groups. The dispute is raising new questions about how major tech firms decide who qualifies for their charity programs. The National News Desk, Angela Brown explains.
Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier firing off this letter to Microsoft, saying it appears that Microsoft is engaging in unlawful religious discrimination practices against certain nonprofit organizations.
Because legal action has not officially been taken, I think it's a warning shot of the willingness to take legal action if Microsoft is unwilling to review their policies.
The AG claims in this letter certain religiously affiliated nonprofits have been denied access to Microsoft's nonprofit discount programs, including faith-based pregnancy resource centers, without naming any specific organizations. Here's why this matters. Microsoft's nonprofit program offers free or discounted access to things like Microsoft 365, cloud storage, all to help charities and community groups cut costs. Cedarville University's communications expert, Derek Green.
Alternatives to Microsoft are very limited, and you're going to have difficulty finding products to do for your organization what Microsoft does, which is why one of the reasons why people are seeking out that discount, because it's very, very difficult to find alternatives to Microsoft in our technological world.
Microsoft responding to the letter telling Florida media, we have been in touch with the Florida Attorney General's office and are working to clear up any questions related to Microsoft's nonprofit discount program. Microsoft takes these issues seriously and does not engage in religious discrimination in this or any of our other programs. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Coming up, we're taking a look at record snowfall across multiple states affecting hundreds of millions of people. Then the change in the dining habits of young adults that's causing trouble for restaurants like Cava and Sweetgreen. Plus, a closer look at President Trump's plan to send Americans $2,000 each using tariff revenue. We'll be right back. More than 200 million people woke up today to the first major snow of the season, and freezing temperatures invade the Northeast, stretching all the way to the deep South. Daily record low temperatures were felt in dozens of Southeast cities, from Knoxville to Tennessee to the Florida Keys. Freeze warnings today in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. In the mid-Atlantic and southern New England, wind gusts of 35 to 50 miles per hour made the cold temperatures there seem even colder. So let's take a look at some of these snow totals recorded in the last 24 hours. According to the National Weather Service, many areas saw a foot or more of snow. Valparaiso, Indiana recorded 12 inches of snow. 15.4 inches of snow in Negaunee, Michigan. Hydetown, Pennsylvania reported 12.5 inches of snow this morning. Further south, Gatlinburg, Tennessee even got 4.5 inches of snow. It's very cold out there. Bundle up and, of course, stay safe. All right, well, the government shutdown could be over soon, depending on the outcome of the upcoming vote in the House of Representatives. But as the national news desk, Mount Galka explains, Congress could find itself scrambling for another funding deal in just a couple months.
Congress is on the verge of ending the longest government shutdown on record. The deal is a continuing resolution, or CR, passed by the Senate. It funds a large part of the government until the end of January and some other parts through September. It still needs approval from the House.
From what I have seen on the surface, I'm good with it. I know that the Democrats are a hard no on the bill, as their leadership is beating their members to say you're going to vote no. So it's going to be a painful, just nail biter over the next 48 hours.
Democrats had been holding out for guarantees on extending expiring health care subsidies. The deal only promises a health care vote in the Senate, with no guarantees it will pass and also no commitment from the House they'd even take up the Senate's bill. What the deal does do is add another continuing resolution to a long list of CRs Congress has passed for decades in order to keep the government running. The Bipartisan Policy Center's Shia Kabis says it's a bad way to run a country.
The only thing worse than a continuing resolution is a government shutdown, which is what we're in right now. The continuing resolution is really inefficient because what it means is that we are funding programs at last year's levels and last year's priorities.
Since 1977, Congress has passed at least one continuing resolution in every fiscal year except for 3. In that 49-year period, there have been 207 CRs enacted. There have been 19 funding gaps of varying lengths during that same time period. But watchdogs say the problem with CRs is they often wind up putting Congress and the country in the same situation every few months, mismanaging the budget process while not tackling a growing record national debt.
Our federal fiscal picture needs to get under control because part of what's driving the broken budget process is the fact that we have a $37 trillion debt.
House Speaker Mike Johnson hopes his chamber can take a vote on the deal as early as Wednesday. The president has also said he supports it. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Breaking tonight, the Supreme Court has just extended an order blocking full SNAP payments as it becomes more likely that the government shutdown will come to an end soon. That means the current situation will stay in place for at least a few more days, with tens of millions of people having limited access to the food stamps they rely on. We'll follow this closely. Well, the world's largest warship has moved into Latin America. Take a look at it. It's the USS Gerald Ford. Commissioned in 2017, it's the United States' newest aircraft carrier with more than 4,000 sailors aboard. Now, the U.S. Navy confirmed the arrival, saying it would help disrupt narcotics trafficking and dismantle transnational criminal organizations. At least 19 strikes against suspected drug vessels in the Caribbean have taken place and off the Pacific coast of Latin America, and they've been carried out by the U.S. military so far, killing at least 76 people. The USS Ford will bring additional capable, lethal, and adaptable warfighting assets to SOUTHCOM in the region. This is according to the U.S. Navy. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has stopped sharing intelligence with the U.S. about suspected drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean. That's according to CNN. The outlet says sources claim the U.K. doesn't want to be complicit in U.S. military boat strikes and believes the attacks are illegal. For years, the UK has helped the U.S. find vessels suspected of transporting drugs in the region, where it controls multiple territories. The International Olympic Committee is likely to ban transgender women from competing in all-female sports by next year. That's according to multiple news outlets, which say the committee did a scientific review that found advantages among people born male. The committee spokesperson said they're still discussing the topic and have not made any decisions. Several fast casual restaurant chains are struggling right now. Cava, Chipotle, and Sweetgreen all recently reported a decline in sales from people under 35 because they're trying to save money. Analysts say these customers are making their own lunches or buying fast food. Experts say fast casual restaurants could bounce back when the economy improves. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We're taking the pulse of America, and we start in Utah, where a nonprofit is hosting a Veterans Day event to feed hundreds of military families.
Shutdown or not, there's always a need for food, which is something Operation Homefront has brought to military families across the country, including in Roy.
When the season ends at the end of this year, we will have served more than 12,000 military families.
Zeisman says they've seen a 57% increase for food-related assistance this year, and the shutdown has just made things worse. Cities like Roy surrounding Hill Air Force Base support many in the military community, and with the struggles compounding, there's even more need than usual.
We've been seeing such a dramatic increase, an unprecedented increase in requests for assistance, so it's clear that military families are struggling.
The event on Veterans Day is one way for military families to get what they need.
This letter went out to parents on Sunday. District officials saying a student died Saturday night in an accident that may have been connected to an online social media challenge. In a statement to CBS 6, Albany police confirmed they responded to a home on Judson Street just before 6:30 p.m. There, they found a young girl unresponsive. Police believe her death was accidental. The department did not identify the victim because she was under 18, but say their thoughts are with family, friends, and the entire community during this difficult time. Police encourage parents to talk with their children about the dangers and risks of social media challenges, a message echoed by the school district.
A company developing electric air taxis is celebrating the start of production in Ohio this week. Joby Aviation says it selected Dayton for its strong heritage of aerospace, advanced manufacturing, and highly skilled workforce. Joby aims to develop electric air taxis for commercial passenger service. And State Congressman Mike Turner feels the new investment reinforces Ohio's role in shaping the future of flight.
As to jobs and the application of technology, we're all in. We're excited about what you're going to do here. We see the future with you.
Pretty neat. Propeller blades that meet FAA requirements are expected to be complete next month, with installation on flight test aircraft targeted for next year. All right, coming up, why some people are skeptical of President Trump's plan to send $2,000 dividends to Americans, right after this. President Trump is doubling down on his pledge to send low and middle-income Americans $2,000 dividends using tariff revenue. Some government budget experts say this would take 2 years' worth of tariffs to pay for. The National News Desk, Audra Elnashar, takes a deeper dive.
President Trump wants to send Americans direct payments. It's not technically a stimulus check like the one sent out during the pandemic, instead giving Americans a share of revenue generated by tariffs.
We're going to issue a dividend to our middle-income people and lower-income people of about $2,000.
The president would not be able to do this on his own.
It will have to be passed by Congress, but the reality is just this, that because of Biden's inflation, which averaged 5% over 4 years, that people on average lost about $3,400 in purchasing power, and they've gained about $1,200 this year, but there's still room to go.
Just last month, the president said tariff revenue would first be used to pay some of America's $38 trillion debt.
Number one, we're paying down debt because people have allowed the debt to go crazy.
When we studied the matter in the summer, that we thought that deficit reduction might be the best use of those monies, but we've had a big surge in tax revenues. You've seen even a bit surplus in the latest monthly Treasury report.
Experts at the Nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget say this doesn't add up.
The reality is we have surpluses in tax collection months. So we have surpluses in April, we have surpluses in September. Overall, there's no surge in revenue, and what we're seeing is deficits are still trucking along at about $2 trillion a year.
With paying dividends now the priority, the question remains, can America afford it?
The tariffs that President Trump has enacted, when they're in full effect, are going to raise about $300 billion a year. That's a lot of money. But sending every American or every American that's not high income $2,000 would cost $600 billion.
Pumping that much money into the economy would likely make inflation worse. Now, if the Supreme Court decides that most of the president's tariffs are unconstitutional, the committee forecasts it would take 7 years for the remaining tariffs to generate enough revenue to pay Americans $2,000 dividends. In Washington, I'm Atrel Nashar for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Coming up, the iconic item from The Wizard of Oz that's expected to sell for millions next month. We'll be right back. The Wicked Witch of the West Hat from the 1939 movie The Wizard of Oz will be auctioned off. Heritage Auctions plans to sell the black wool hat on December 9th. The item already sold for almost $3 million last year, but memorabilia experts think it's worth a lot more now. Heritage Auctions sold Dorothy's ruby slippers for $28 million last year. Wow. Well, that does it for this edition of the National News Desk. Join us tonight at 10 for a look at last night's brawl outside of a Turning Point USA event on the campus of UC Berkeley, who the DOJ is investigating. I'm Taylor Murray. Thanks for watching.